Okay, so this is the moral case for capitalism, which is a 5-minute video by Prager University. Absolutely go and subscribe to these guys. These guys are fucking awesome. Watch the video. It'll be linked in the description, shit like that. Okay, this is the moral case for capitalism.
Okay, we're told, so maybe capitalism is efficient. Maybe it generates more wealth than other systems. But what about values? What about things that can't be measured in cash? Things like kindness and loyalty and integrity. Well, let me say something that you won't hear very often.
Okay.
Let me make the moral case for capitalism.
Thank you.
Let's go back nearly
That is what I wanted. I
12,000
appreciate it, sir.
to the moment when one of our ancestors made a world-changing discovery. It turned out that if you left seeds in fertile soil, plants would grow from them. Instead of having to forage, you could produce your own grains or fruits where you wanted. But it didn't take long.
I'm just crash course on basic agriculture. What is this? Is this when... okay, well, people realized they could grow food instead of having to go find it. Okay.
For someone to make the next discovery. Rather than spending all year tending to your own crops, you could wait for your neighbor to bring in his harvest and then steal it. And then came the truly diabolical discovery. If you wanted...
I mean, I mean, you know, I have a garden, right? And I had 2 rows of corn this year. I had the ornamental corn, which is like the different colored, like brown and like purple type corn, right? That you can't eat that, but you can grind it down into cornmeal and make like flour, like corn flour and stuff like that with it. You can also pop it into popcorn. So that's that kind of stuff. And then I also had sweet corn, which is the normal yellow corn that you can eat. The 2 plants look similar, but ultimately do end up looking different. And there is a fucking family of deer that live in this town that I live in and just kind of walk around. And because it's in city limits, I can't shoot them like I would if I was in the country, which is, you know, where I came from. So I want to shoot them, but I'm not going to. Anyway, so... there's this group of deer, and even though I had a fence around my garden, they jumped the fence and ate only the row of sweet corn, all right? I was pissed. I wanted to kill these deer, all right? So if I had somebody, after I was completely done harvesting for the season, which, by the way, is a hell of a lot of work, like, harvesting is just as much work as tilling the ground. Like, it's especially if you have, like, sweet potatoes or something like that, like root vegetables. Harvesting is just as much work as like tilling and actually like planting stuff, right? I encourage everybody to have a garden, but ultimately if one of my neighbors came over and tried to steal all of my shit right after I was done planting it, and that was the only way I could feed my family, I'd kill him. I would kill a motherfucker, and that's, I'm sure, how it happened back in the day too.
To maximize the ratio of effort to outcome, you could organize
I would have my harvest and a dead body. So,
gang of thugs and seize not only your neighbor's harvest, but everyone's harvest, regularizing your plunder through tithes, tolls, and
and this is where the stereotypical cattleman from the Old West rolls into town. You're gonna give me this, and if you don't, then I'll shoot you. This is where that kind of crap came from, right? Like, just the tyrants that roll into town, take half of everybody's harvest. This is the grasshoppers from the Ants movie, right? Where they want all of the ants' food.
Taxes. And thus it continued until roughly the end of the 17th century and the birth of modern liberal capitalism. Sure, there were premonitions before then, little tremors of freedom, but almost everyone on the planet...
What? Capitalism saved society? What?
Still lived in servitude and penury.
No, it's definitely a big reason why you can walk down the street and not have to, like, fear your neighbor, right? Like, you can go talk to somebody, or you can go out into the world and just kind of exist without having a weapon on you. It's fucking wild.
Every previous society was based on systematized oppression. Ruling elites would use the institutions of the state to loot its resources and then rig the rules so that their children would inherit the same privileged position. A Bronze Age slave empire was not so different in this sense from a medieval European monarchy, or a 20th century African kleptocracy, or, come to that, from those modern states that have avoided the liberal capitalist revolution.
I'm pretty sure that's Kim Jong-un.
Oppression, serfdom, and bondage were the lot of almost every human being from the moment civilization began until an eye blink ago. We don't know how lucky we are to live at a time and in a place where the rules are above the rulers.
Yeah.
The great Victorian jurist, Sir Henry Maine, summarized...
Well, listen, I haven't seen a single person with a lot of power. I haven't seen a single person in power go to fucking jail, all right? I'm just saying, this Epstein shit, I better see some arrests. I don't care how much power they have, all right? Rules above rulers, right? Let's do it. Come on.
The move to modern liberty in 3 words. Status to contract. In nearly every previous society, our relations with one another were dictated by status, that is, birth and caste. In a liberal capitalist society, we're free to make one-off, freestanding arrangements with each other without needing to ask anyone else's permission.
Correct.
Our agreements, our contracts, are enforced by an independent court system.
Correct. Like I said, the only people that are punished in capitalist societies are the people that don't actually want to contribute to society.
And adult citizens are equal.
The people that would otherwise be roaming around taking your harvest are punished in a capitalist society because if you don't produce for yourself, you don't get it.
Equal in the eyes of the law. That's it. That's the magic formula. Status to contract. Grant it, and the rest follows. It's the difference between North Korea and South Korea, between China and Taiwan, between Russia and Finland, between Haiti and Bermuda. In a society defined by status, you get rich by sucking up to the people in charge. Emperors, or people's commissars, or presidents for life. But in a...
That would be like Putin, right?
Society defined by contract, you get rich by offering a product or a service to the people around you. As the 20th century economist Joseph Schumpeter put it, the capitalist achievement does not typically consist in providing more silk stockings for queens, but in bringing them within the reach of factory girls.
If he hath the soul of a merchant, then let him prove it.
When I buy something on Amazon, yes, I'm enriching Jeff Bezos. I'm adding fractionally to his net wealth. But he is also enriching me, letting me buy pretty much whatever I want without having to get out of my chair. No other economic system.
Can we say that Amazon started as like a book company, like an online bookstore? I just want to say that, like, when I was a kid, Amazon was an online bookstore, and then they started expanding into like the Scholastic Book Fair type stuff, and then expanded a little farther into that, and a little farther, and then it just kind of became a general store. And now you can fucking buy anything on Amazon. So, like I said in the beginning, if someone wants to be the Michael Jordan of capitalism, who the hell am I to stop him?
Rests on voluntary exchange. Every other system requires coercion.
Yeah,
and
that
fair. Is the moral case for capitalism. Not just that it makes us richer, though it does. Not just that it raises the poorest on the planet, making our life outcomes more equal, though it does that too. No. The moral argument for capitalism is that it's the only economic system that values dignity and freedom and, yes, equality.
Yeah, correct.
It disdains distinctions of race and creed. One customer's money is as good as the next. As Voltaire put it in 1764, enter the London Stock Exchange and you will see representatives from all nations gathered together for the good of mankind. Here, Jew, Muslim and Christian deal with each other as if all were of the same faith, and the only people called infidels are those who go bankrupt. Under capitalism,
okay, fair enough.
We need to think of what other people want, of what we can do for them. It's how we get ahead.
Correct, yeah.
Whereas socialism replaces our natural human relations.
Ultimately, under capitalism, if you want to make things that people like, then you will succeed. Now, obviously, that's only if people like it. And ultimately, making something that is of good value doesn't necessarily mean that, and even though people would like it, doesn't necessarily mean that you'll be able to sell, because there is a like a marketing portion of it where you need to tell people that you have this thing. Back in the old days, you just set up a cart near like the road where everybody would come in after from the fields at the end of the day, and you just set up like a hot bun or like a honey bun or something like cart, and sell it to them for a penny or whatever, right? Because obviously whenever they come back, they're going to be hungry, and so you want to be able to provide that food for them whenever they get there, right? But that's based on a capitalist society where you say, hey, it would be good to have this here. Or like if you're in a small town, right, and you go, man, this town has a Sonic drive-in and that's it. There's no other restaurants here. You know what would be awesome? A McDonald's. You know what's even better than that? In a capitalist society, any of the people in that city can franchise that McDonald's and then become wealthy. Because they know people will go to it, obviously, because it's just another option. So obviously people will go to it. Plus it's a fucking McDonald's. And you're allowed to independently own them. And when you franchise from a large business like that, much of the like, you're responsible for the management, but like, you don't have to produce any of the initial overhead, other than like I don't even think you need to do the building, really. I think that the umbrella corporation will come in and do the building for you. Honestly, you just have to like manage everything and like own the property, right? And you're responsible for the lease on like the land and everything. But still, man. Anyway, so like the poorest person can franchise that McDonald's and become wealthy. Only in a capitalist society is that allowed. In a socialist society, you're not allowed to recognize that there's a need for something.
With state control, capitalism draws us into productive networks of
Correct.
mutual dependency. We become more attentive, more empathetic, and thus more aware of the case for universal human rights.
Yeah.
Capitalism doesn't just make us better off, it makes us better people. I'm Daniel Hannan, author of Inventing Freedom, How the English...
Yep, okay. So like I said, capitalism is the only one that actually works because it's the only one that encourages people to do better for themselves. It's also the only one that actively discourages people from not doing better for themselves. If you can work and you choose not to, you will not succeed in a capitalist society. And the people that are bitching about how bad capitalism is are the people that would be trying to steal your harvest after you worked very hard to do it. That's those people, okay? The people that are bitching about capitalist society are the people that would be roaming around with the cattle gangs from the Wild West, right? They'd be rolling into town, breaking everything. If anybody stands against them, the guy with the fastest gun wins, you know? So, ultimately, those people, I don't care. At some point, we need to let Darwin do his thing, right? And if you are incapable of providing for yourself, then you should be incapable of reproducing. Because if you reproduce somebody that is also that is also dependent on society for their general needs because they just don't want to provide for themselves. Listen, man, if you produce a bloodline of people that are just dependents on society, your bloodline should fail. Period. Flat out, fuck you. And over the course of human history, many bloodlines have failed. Poverty-stricken and kings alike, right? Like I said, Anastasia was one of my favorite movies growing up. And the backstory of that is that the Russian Tsar and his entire family was killed, but like the youngest princess Anastasia ended up escaping and living in hiding her whole life, and she didn't even know. But in reality, I don't think any of the family actually escaped. The Tsar was in fact killed, along with his entire family, and that's when I believe Lenin took over after the communist revolution there, right? So, and everybody immediately regretted like killing Tsar, but that's just kind of how it happened. Follow me on Kick. Follow me on X at @real_Sestill. I make based opinions, and I'm fun to talk to as far as I'm concerned. Anyway, I mean nobody else really talks to me. I don't know. Subscribe on YouTube, subscribe on Rumble. I'm everywhere that videos are made. I will see you guys next week. Bye.